Hey everybody. So I felt like it was time to do another recovery video. Um, it's about that time now that I had before, and it's not the same, obviously. About 2.5 months. So it's pretty clear why I wasn't around for a little bit, which is why I'm going to make this video the whole topic of relapse. And I wanted to talk about basically what it means to me, what I've been through with it. I'm kind of what you'd consider a repeat offender, but I've always found myself getting back up again, and that's something that I am proud of. Um, it's never easy, and there's a lot of different things that go into it, especially like each and every time. The circumstances always change. So this last time was kind of combination of it was a combination of circumstances as well as changes in my life. I have a habit of, and I think a lot of people do, I can only speak for myself, and a lot of this is opinion, so please keep that in mind. But this time around, I had a lot of good things coming for me. I had been working hard, I had been doing videos, I had been doing a lot of things to improve my life and improve myself. And what I lost sight of was what was behind those changes that were coming. And I have this bad habit of kind of self sabotaging because if I'm using when I fail, it's the drug or the alcohol's fault. It's not on me. So if I use and I fail, I know I'm going to fail when I do use. It's just par for the course. But when that happens, it's not on me. I mean, it is, but in a weird, twisted way in my head, it's not me failing, it's that version of myself. So for me, relapse is kind of a preventative of me having to face the consequences of, not to say that I can't succeed, but if I were to fail at something and I weren't to be using, then it would be on me. And I think that's been a fear that I hadn't addressed up until this point. So for me, relapse is really like this time. There's been, like I said, a lot of other reasons that it has happened in the past, but this time in particular, it was a lot of changes that I was implementing really early on and a lot of things that might not have worked out. So I kind of, you know, set myself back almost intentionally or subconsciously anyway. And that's been a bit of a pattern for me. It's only this time around that I've kind of realized it, and that's not without the help of other people. I highly recommend therapy, professional counselors, stuff like that. I've utilized that to great effect in the past and this time especially. DBT being another thing that I really recommend people checking out. It's changed kind of the lens that I look at life through. Um, but that being said, relapse is like a stigmatized thing even in circles that are about recovery, which it shouldn't be. And I've heard the opposite, where it's kind of almost like it's a step in the process, and I don't necessarily believe that either. I don't think everybody has to relapse. I've seen people do this correctly or whatever, like the first time, and that's great for them. And I've seen plenty of people like me who have come in and out and kind of have to figure it out by falling down a few times to figure out where the pitfalls lie and where we get set back. And for me, I always go into it hoping that it's the last time. And I always go into it never expecting to go back. And my resolve, especially in the beginning, is so strong that once I find myself like too comfortable, too far along in the process, I guess, that things start to get like shifty and I start losing priorities, being like whatever program I'm working or things like that. By the time I realize, it's too late. And it's all, you hear people call it like a prelapse or whatever you want to call it. But you kind of make the decision ahead of time, like through your emotions and your actions and your distance from people, that can be real indicators. So for me, I definitely have to keep an eye on things when I get to this point, 2.5 months again. I have to keep an eye on it, because if I don't, then I don't see these red flags. Or if people see them in me, I choose to ignore the red flags, because I feel like I know better than anybody else. And that's kind of a common symptom of, this affliction. So that being said, relapse can be stigmatized, and it really shouldn't be. I think people, at least in my eyes, I have a lot of respect for the people that come back, who stand up again, who come back and keep trying, because it gets so much harder. It gets so much harder no matter what you've seen or what you've lost or how many times you've been in and out. It gets harder each time because you lose little bits of hope as you go along. And, say I've had in the past 6 months before, and I've seen people go back out after years. And, when you have that much time accumulated and you've made all these improvements in your life, and like some people call them the promises of things coming back to you, um, it's really disheartening to lose those things. And I've been fortunate in that my relapses have been fairly short. And I guess that's in regard to like what I've seen with other people, but I tend to just kind of burn myself out very quickly. So this time around was short, but I spent some time in a program and took my time coming back, and I'm really trying to do things like, first things first being like, this is my priority right now above everything else. It has to be. If I shortchange this, it becomes this cumulative effect of really like, once I start to lose the recovery side of things, I really like, my whole life kind of falls apart. This is really the linchpin that holds it all together. And it's easier and easier to forget that, because the farther away you get from that relapse, away from the pain and what you've caused, and maybe people start forgiving you or trusting you again, the consequences don't seem as dire, because your brain is programmed to kind of push those out of mind. You don't want to think about the things that were traumatic or harming when they're not seemingly relevant anymore. When your life is good, you don't sit there and reflect on these terrible things. I mean, that's kind of what programs are for. Certain ones kind of advocate looking back at the past, and kind of remembering but not ruminating. And if you ruminate on things, it can lead you in the wrong direction. Again, keep things fresh in your head, and seeing people who do go back out and come back in, or some people who are unfortunate enough not to come back in. Those things, those kinds of relapses and stuff, like, even though they're not on me and they're not always to somebody close to me, it still like makes those memories fresh again. So I guess the most important thing is really just to remember where you're at and remember where you've come from. I guess I'm going to end this here, but I could definitely do more videos on this and could go on and on about this sort of thing. But I'll stop it here for now. If you liked this video or any of the other videos, go check out the rest, the addiction and recovery stuff, as well as my other stuff. Please like, comment, subscribe. Just remember that if you do slip, it's not the end of the world. As long as you get back up and you come back and you keep trying, there's always people waiting for you and people who care. So, thanks. Bye.